In my speech, I will be covering Chapter 8, Escrows and Title Insurance. This chapter really focused on escrow, and that was one of the biggest points, and all the things that go with that process. Escrow isn't always required by law, but in California, it is usually a requirement. Escrow is covered by a third party and can be a real estate broker, an attorney, or a corporation. The buyer and seller usually come to an agreement on who will be representing escrow for the house. And escrow cannot be closed unless all conditions have been met for the buyers and the sellers. This means pretty much everything that they put in that they want to have done needs to be fulfilled before escrow can close. The buyer and the seller can change their conditions, but to change their conditions, it has to be agreed upon between the two parties, and this can be done anytime during escrow. The other big idea in the chapter would be title insurance. This is a very important part of the buying process because it protects the buyer. Buyer insurance is only paid once at the beginning, unlike other types of insurance where it's like monthly or annually. Title insurance looks into legal records and off-record risks, so it looks over the title and makes sure there's nothing left in there or anything's fake or there's any like forgery of signatures or anything like that. Pretty much just makes it so nothing can go wrong with the title of the house. It also, having title insurance protects you from economic loss of the house. Most buyers receive the standard coverage, so probably the cheaper one. No matter what type of title insurance you get, they're not going to cover everything. In Southern California, it's actually the seller who has to pay for the title insurance, whereas in Northern California, the buyer pays for it. Another big main idea would be an escrow officer has to be neutral between the two parties, so it can't be one-sided. Neutral depository, which is an escrowed business conducted by a licensed escrow, or there's an escrow officer, though not licensed, is an employee of the escrow company. There are two types of escrow holders, the first one being an attorney who is performing escrow duties as a practice, whereas there are real estate brokers who do escrow themselves. But to be a real estate broker and do escrow, you had to have been a part of the buying selling process. You had to be the broker in that process. No matter what type of like escrow party you have, they all have to complete the same 3 duties, which would be a title search, a preliminary title search, lender's demand and completion of conditions and depositing funds. So no matter what you end up going with to represent escrow, all the duties will be performed the same. This chapter is a really big part of real estate because even before getting into real estate, I've heard about escrow, so really getting to learn the details of how it's performed, I felt was very important because, especially living in California, how escrow is almost a requirement on every house. Knowing how to be prepared for that process, I think, is very good.